Okay, you guys see the NFL and NFLPA have agreed to a new model for selecting playing surfaces in stadiums. This is the report from Adam Schefter under an hour ago. It's going to require teams to choose from an approved set of manufacturers and styles for both natural and synthetic fields. So this is the players' concern about fields like MetLife in New York causing the lower leg injuries that can be catastrophically bad. So, yeah, I don't know if this is going to help or hurt. Every time we've talked to a league official over the years, Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, about this, they've said that the injury rates are about equal, and there's an upside and a downside to each. But at least now the players are going to be able to have a say in it, and maybe as a result they'll come up with something that works better for them.
Yeah, I hope they get this thing straightened out. This is clearly a step in the right direction here because, you can see all around the world with the way they're doing these different soccer stadiums and stuff like that, where they can roll out different surfaces, no problem. There are ways to do it. You just have to be willing, and you have to be willing to probably spend a little bit more money. But the NFL is the king, so that shouldn't really be an excuse for them. Really should just be a total no-brainer. I don't even know why it's been this much of a headache to this point. Why wouldn't you want to do everything in your power as a league to keep these guys as healthy as possible?
Yeah, it really is. The product is the players and the great players, and there's only like 5 to 12 of them on each team, and if one goes out, it just saps away not only the experience there in the stadium, but on TV and their talkability throughout the week. Like, this is a really important storyline for the NFL to try to get a handle on, and then for the players union just to feel like their voice is being heard and you actually care about their concerns, I think is big for the relationship as well. I'm still checking for Clowney. When are we going to get clarity on this, you guys reckon?
Yeah, that's going to be actually talked to some people in Detroit just when we were on break. I mentioned earlier, this thing is a 100% game time decision. How he feels is going to be whether they go with it or not. And so once we get the workout in the books and stuff like that, hopefully during our pregame show, I'll have an idea of where we're at on that. But this is they're just waiting for the workout to see how he feels.
So they elevated Isaiah Land.
I would say that's that kind of indication. That's an indication that there might be hedging their bets that they might not have the guy. Is
Land a guy that you need in there to set the edge, or do you think this is a depth thing?
Well, this is just depth is all. Right now this is the things that I worry about. With their situation, with some of their injuries. That one with Clowney, and especially with how, and I've said this so much during the week, this is a very much a right-handed running team, and that means that's behind Penei Sewell. And when you get behind Penei Sewell, he is a legitimate run blocker. He's a guy that gets you. He can get movement. That's where they've had a lot of their success running the football. So, not having Clowney in there with his, if he doesn't play, with his, that length, that strength, his ability to set edge, that could be a problem for the Cowboys for sure.
Yes, sir. So hopefully he can play, but it does not appear that it is heading in that direction. And, Clowney's strength, his skill, his ability to fight off the blocks is something that could be missed. But hopefully the Cowboys are collapsing that pocket from the middle so much, and they can hold down the Lions' run game with that five-man line. We'll get more on that coming up here in just a little bit. But here is ESPN's Dan Orlovsky, former Lions quarterback himself, once famously stepped outside of the end zone to create a safety when he was dropping back to pass. So here's his thoughts on what advantage the Cowboys have against the Lions this evening and what their objective should be.
I lean Dallas. I would try to win Dak the MVP tonight if I was Dallas.
Ooh.
If Detroit wants to line up and play man coverage,
which they have, last 3 games, 70% man coverage.
I'm going to throw 40 times. You cannot cover my 2 guys. And I'm totally comfortable. I'll put George by himself. I'll put CD opposite. You want to cover George one-on-one? Great. He's as good as any receiver in the NFL one-on-one versus man. If you want to double team him or play, I'm going to throw it to CD Lamb. I think it'll be interesting. I think the most important person tonight is Kelvin Shepard, who's the DC for Detroit. You can't line up and play man. Will you change? Will you play some zone? I would challenge Dallas to run the football and then try to play elite red zone defense. Does Brian Schottenheimer want to hand it off 40 times? I'm not letting you throw it that much if I'm Detroit. But if Detroit wants to line up and be who they are, I'm gonna throw it 40 times because you can't cover me.
I mean, what kind of a game would Dak have to elevate himself to the top of the MVP power rankings?
Well,
what are we looking at here?
Yeah, if they lose, though, then, there's no way that you're going to – this kills – well, it hurts, their playoff chances. So they're not going to – if he's not in the playoffs, they're not going to give him an opportunity to be MVP. He could finish third or fourth or one of those things again. But, yeah, he's going to need to potentially get in the playoffs and win a division to be considered this.
I don't know that he can win it tonight, but I think if you go out and you put up 300-plus yards, 3 or 4 touchdowns, and you're carving up Detroit, it's going to look good. Now, I'm sure some voters would say, okay, well, they didn't have one of their top corners. They've been banged up. One of their best safeties is out.
Play who you play, right?
But, 100%, and he's going to have some more opportunities. You got a Christmas Day game in front of the entire
next Sunday night, you got a game against Minnesota.
You got Minnesota coming up in a couple weeks. Yeah, absolutely. You got the Chargers. He's going to have a great platform the rest of the way. If they just keep winning, if they just keep taking care of business, he'll have himself in that conversation.
The thing that bothers me, and I like what Dan Orlovsky is trying to say. If he could convince me that, yes, and Detroit has struggled with their pass rush. They have. But you watch the sacks that they've had, and you watch the blitzes, and you watch those things, and Dak handles all those things well. And the ball tends to be on the ground a lot when they're around these quarterbacks in the pocket and things. But do you trust your tackles to hold up against Aiden Hutchinson the whole game? All it takes is one or two of these. And next it's a turnover, and now the complex of the game is completely, the complexion of the game's completely changed, and so those are the things that just worry me with Steele, and then again with Nate Thomas making his first start on the road. These are the things that that just it kind of, like you said, okay, if this thing is going to go bad, it'll go bad because of this, and blocking Aiden Hutchinson is not an easy task.
Yeah, you could win out there 37 times, and the 3 that you lose, the ball ends up on the turf twice.
No question.
And if it's on a short field, you can absolutely flip the game on it. So, I'm fascinated by this, Brian. What is their coaching staff going to think? I mean, I was shocked. I saw that they'd run man 49% of the time for the year.
Only the Jets. Only the Jets run it more. Only the Jets. And that's your former defensive coordinator at the Jets now. So if they play more zone coverage in this game, boy, I would be really, really, really surprised.
And if I'm a player, or inside that organization, I'm thinking, so we had a plan for how we were going to attack defensively. Is this a sign of panic internally if we're going to totally change our scheme? In week 14 of the season, I think there's a lot of different ways that could go bad.
Well, the last 3 weeks, what you've seen from your own defensive coordinator, who's been getting crushed playing zone coverage, is with the new players he has, he's adapted to however the quarterback is he's playing, whether it's Geno Smith, whether it's Jalen Hurts, or whether it's Patrick Mahomes. Zone, more man. So, we've seen teams play clog and cover against Dak and have some success. We've seen teams rush 3, drop 8. That would be way, way different than what we've seen from Detroit all year.
Yeah, and it would probably be trust in their linebackers, right? It would probably be, okay,
these
Jack
guys are
Campbell,
good.
Alex Anzalone, they got
good.
Malcolm Rodriguez back.
Yeah, they're good.
That's where I think Dak has at times had issues, right? He doesn't
find the guys,
he doesn't see a linebacker dropping. He got baited last year by their safety, Brian Branch, in the end zone on that play that Brandon Cooks likes to run that drag on the baseline of the end zone that worked well for him, and Brian Branch just went ahead and said, okay, I'm going to go off a CD here, and then I'm going to drop back, get an interception. So that would be the fear. I did just see, Dawson, that the Lions are elevating wide receiver Malik Cunningham from their practice squad. So much like we're saying with the Isaiah Land elevation, might be doubtful on Clowney. That might be a sign, just in case they're not feeling great about St. Brown right now.
Well, that's a good sign. I didn't expect him to play. I think that after that, the next biggest injury factor after Clowney and St. Brown would become what can Sewell do with his shoulder and now with his ankle. How close is he going to be to the all-pro player that he is when he is healthy? Okay, how about the road factor here? 2-4 on the road this year, guys. I want to believe their urgency, their enthusiasm, and just the fact that they're better is going to put them in a mindset where the road shouldn't bother them. But with Nate Thomas playing instead of Tyler Guyton, communication along that line, the Lions, if the fan base has reason to believe early in that game, it's one of the loudest places that you can play, maybe outside of Kansas City and Seattle. So what do you guys think of confidence level with the Cowboys going on the road? Should we be more concerned? Maybe that's Brian and Chief, why you're not picking the Cowboys to win tonight.
No, I'm leveling my concerns. I know Chief picked him. I got him at DallasCowboys.com. I went 28-24 Dallas. I'm just telling folks my concerns. It's
a little bit queasy.
Yeah, how Dallas could lose this game. With all the positivity that we've seen, if you all of a sudden we get into a game and it's things you start to like, whoa, wait a minute. Oh, wait, that we expected that maybe some things. No, I'm going to pick Dallas to win this game. I just think there's elements to it, though, that could be a problem. And if there's a reason that they lose, it might be. I just wanted my thoughts to get out why they could lose.
But I do think the home road thing is real for them. Like, they are, especially offensively, quite a bit different. And right now, your only two road wins are Jets and Raiders. Like, that doesn't inspire a ton of confidence. You go to Chicago and things look weird.
Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina. Things look weird for
Philadelphia.
Denver, obviously.
Yeah,
now, there's more than just that when it comes to just the simply being on the road. But there is something to that. And I think when you start talking about how different this team is right now, they've started to check off a lot of boxes. We used to be this, now we're not. We used to be this, now we're not. I think this is kind of the last big hurdle versus a quality team. Like, say what you want about the Lions. They aren't the fireworks show that they've been in years past, but this is still a quality team, a team that has a solid shot to make the playoffs going into their house when they're extremely desperate. That is going to be a big challenge.
For sure. Dak's passer rating on the road, 4.5 points lower. USA Today ran the numbers on this. Completion percentage is 0.5% lower, not that big, but the interception rate is 0.6% higher, which has to be 35% higher if Dak's interception rate is around 2% or so, just to give you a snapshot of at least what that's meant so far in the Cowboys' 6 games outside of AT&T Stadium.